Ones, empaths, I don't often talk about dysfunctional family units and the black sheep because I feel like it's, you know, not dangerous ground to tread on, but I don't want to fill your head with the wrong ideas or make you start seeing that you're in a dysfunctional family unit and you're not really in one. And I don't agree with families breaking up and stuff like that and severing ties as such. Obviously, when it comes to a narcissist, if you're dealing with narcissistic parent or parents, then ultimately you do need to go no contact, utilize no contact, pack your bags and get away. But hopefully in this video, I'll just cover some aspects of a dysfunctional family unit to bring a bit of clarity to the situation. Oftentimes, it doesn't mean that both parents are narcissistic. Oftentimes, the narcissist, just like what you hear in our other content, has found an empath. It's got the clutches on the empath, and chose them as a mating partner, a child bearer, either male to female, female to male, whatnot. And they've chose them for a specific reason, because they're empathetic, because they're chosen. They've got good hearts, they've got good nature. Now, I'm not saying these empaths have been awakened. One of your parents might not be awake to the fact they're an empath. They might not be awake. But what tends to happen is the narcissistic parent will kind of often label the other parent as the bad one. They'll label the other parent as the toxic one, the troublemaker, the one that done this. And as I've previously mentioned, many narcissistic people and also empaths and chosen ones have substance abuse issues, and it's obviously dealing with life. We use it as a vice and a means to get through life. So let's say one parent has an alcohol problem. The other parent will label that person as the problem, as the issue, based upon their alcohol dependency, when realistically they're dealing with a sickness. They're dealing with an actual abuse issue, like it's an illness. Alcoholism is an illness, or whether it's drugs or whatever the weather, right? But I'm going off topic here a little bit. But what the family dynamics are so messed up, because oftentimes the narcissistic parent will cut the empath parent out of the lives of the children. They will poison the minds of the children about the empath parent, right? They'll do that. They'll poison the minds of the children. And then they go even more sinister. Then they make one of the children a black sheep. And oftentimes the black sheep wakes up to the fact that they don't like this dysfunctional family unit. And they normally pack their bags and get the hell away. They may not even be awake to the fact they're a chosen one or an empath, but they know there's something wrong. Something just does not sit right with their spirit. And they will go. And they'll make their own way in life. They'll rather go and be homeless sometimes than actually staying in this dynamic, toxic situation. And that's what tends to happen to the black sheep. But there's also another category that is in the dysfunctional family unit, and the parent will label, one will be a golden child, you see. And actually, before I touch on the golden child, the black sheep is often labeled as the problem, the reason why the family is not prospering. Some people believe that you have generational curses, and the black sheep is the curse of the family, and they're the one that drags it down, and they're the one that brings all the trouble to the family. And the black sheep might even start to believe this. The longer they stay in this dysfunctional family unit, they'll start to believe the utter rubbish, utter bollocks, that is spewed out of the mouth of the narcissistic parent, right? And the other parent is often maybe hasn't seen their children in years. Maybe the other parent is maybe not even in the life of the child. As painful as it is, like the empath, the chosen one, is sometimes maybe they're not awake yet. Maybe they've awakened, maybe they haven't, but they're dealing with like severe soul ties because they're connected to a child, right? Literally that come from their specimen, and they have no contact with them. And this is what the narcissistic parent does to inflict damage on the other empath parent. They'll do this. They'll sever ties. They'll relocate. They'll cut this person out of their life. And basically all they wanted that person for was childbearing. That's all. And I don't know if childbearing is the right word, but I just mean they only wanted that person as basically like a donor, right? They just wanted them as a donor of eggs or a donor of sperm, and they just wanted them as a vice and a means to get a child. Now, a lot of these narcissistic parents actually even have these children just because their friends are having children, just because they want to post on social media about having children. And it's really, really toxic and dangerous. But the black sheep is always labeled as the one. They're the outsider. All of the problems that happen to the family is blamed on the black sheep. They're targeted. They go through hell on earth, the black sheep. And the best thing for the black sheep that they can do is get as far away from possible, and if necessary, love from a distance. You know, I know they're still your parent, and you know that they're deranged, and you're watching this content and you're digesting this content. The best thing I can say to you is love someone from a distance, right? That's the best thing I can say to you, and keep your place in a safe and secure. You see, the golden child, on the other hand, is blissfully unaware, right? So back when in the younger days when they was all together, say the two siblings, the golden child and the black sheep. Let's just use two children for an example. The golden child and the black sheep, they develop a need because the narcissist denies them attention on purpose. The narcissistic parent deliberately doesn't reciprocate what they're saying. They may act like they're the kindest person in the world on show in front of people, you know, in the town, around friends and family. They may act like they're the best parent in the world. But when push comes to shove and they're alone in the house, it tends to make the child grow up, and they will seek attention and approval from the narcissistic parent through various ways, and the narcissist doesn't actually give them the attention and approval that they deserve. Whether they show them a drawing, they show them something they've done at school, you know, the narcissistic parent won't praise them. It will just shun them, make them devalue them, put them through the devaluation phase, exactly like what happens in narcissistic romantic relationships, which leads the child to become a victim syndrome. They either become a black sheep and get as far away as possible from the narcissistic situation, and they hold their own. They say, you know what, I'm done with that. I'm going to go off and live my life. If I have to work 2 jobs to pay my rent, I'll work 2 jobs. And they make sure they pack their bags and they just go. They do not care. They go. They will make it in this world, you know. And at first they may be trauma bonded, and they may miss their parents, and they may be alone in a bed sit or something like that, hungry, starving, living off a pack of biscuits. But deep down in the core of them, they know, you know what, I'd rather be going through this, and God will make a way out for me, you know. But if the child who is a black sheep stays around and is unable to evolve and detach from the family dynamic, they become a victim mentality. They suffer with victim syndrome. So they tend to become someone who makes up lies. They tend to become someone who lies a lot, who seeks approval from the narcissist and validation through lying. So they'll make up, for example, fake allegations against something. They may lie about sexual abuse. They may lie about being bullied. They may lie about all sorts of things as a means to get attention from the parent that denies them attention that they deserved in the first place. They're also the black sheep. If it stays around in the family dynamic, they're also very jealous of the golden child. The golden child can't put a foot wrong. The golden child is on a high plateau. The narcissistic parent does this on purpose, right? And you've got to understand that this narcissistic parent has had a family, let's say a family of 4, right? One child disappears, goes, finito, gone, packs bags, gone. The other child stays around, right? The other child stays around. Or let's say 3 children. Let's say 3 children. The other child stays around, who is the black sheep, right? They develop victim mentality, and they this is what they do. It's not their fault, but you know, there's so many people that have been raised with narcissistic parents who don't grow up to turn out to be narcissistic. But the problem is with the black sheep that sticks around is they grow up to be narcissistic in the end. They become demonic just as their narcissistic parent. You know, the empath parent is cut out of the picture, right? The golden child is living a happy, luxurious life, right? And so you got the one that's stuck there like glue, that just can't progress, and they just claim admiration from their narcissistic parent. You have one that leaves the vicinity, who gets away, and you have the golden child who is on a high plateau, who soaks up and can't put a foot wrong, and everything revolves around the golden child. And the narcissistic parent will praise the golden child, but you know, the black sheep will just become, they can become very sick, like, and twisted through all of the abuse that they face. And honestly speaking, what is the most damaging in this situation is there is actually an empath parent in the world that's being smear campaigned, shunned, devalued, made to look like they're the poison. And oftentimes they have no access to their children. They have no way of getting back in. And this is what the narcissist wanted in the first place. They used the person as a child bearer. They used them as a sperm donor. They used them as someone just to get eggs from, either either or, male or female. And you've got to look at your own situation and understand, are you the black sheep? Are you the golden child? Because they just scapegoat the black sheep. The black sheep is the scapegoat. This is what happens. Full stop. The black sheep is the scapegoat, you know. And I know it's hard hearing this because these are meant to be people that love you. But if you're raised by a narcissistic parent, my advice to you is study it, reflect, take your time. And if you're waking up to you're a black sheep, take your time, because the black sheep is a chosen one. The black sheep is a chosen one. But, you know, if they stay around that vicinity, right, and they develop victim mentality to seek approval, they don't go the other way like the other black sheep did. Say, another black sheep will just go, pack their bags, say, no, I'm done with this, I'm out of this. This other type of black sheep, scapegoat, will develop and turn into basically an extension of the narcissistic parent. And that's what narcissistic parents do. They look at their children as extensions of themselves. They don't look at them as individuals. They don't let them be individuals. They don't let them live their life free and accordingly. They look at them as extensions of themselves, and they try to live vicariously through the child, which is very traumatizing. Now, I wasn't born in a dysfunctional family unit, but I've seen dysfunctional family units with friends and so forth. And in my life, I was given a lot of freedom. I remember my dad told me when I was younger that I could be any religion I wanted to be. And my dad's not even a religious man. I remember him saying this to me: any religion you want to be, whatever faith you want to follow, I will support you in that. and I must have been about 6 or something. I think it was before my mum passed away. You know, and I know in videos I've said I don't know if my mother was narcissistic. I've said that, but to be honest, I don't think she was, because when my dad and her split, she had many vultures around her. She had many narcissists around her, parasites, leeches around her, and they were all trying to like manipulate her to take the house from my dad, and she didn't do it. She did not do it. She died 5 years later after she left. She drank herself to death, and she regretted the fact she left my dad and the mistakes that she made, and she drank herself to death. But she didn't take the house, and she wasn't a poison ivy that come and just tried to exploit and take the house and take the money and finances, like so many women do in today's culture through divorce. You know, they just exploit the man. They'll leave the man having to go move back to his parents' house or whatnot, and they'll just take all the finances, they'll take the money, and they don't give a shit. And that's actually probably the whole reason why they get in these relationships anyway. Sorry, I've gone off topic a bit, but I just wanted to give you a bit of a backstory to my situation. But just look for the signs. Like, if you have a victim mentality, right, you need to try and break from that. It may be too late. You may be too far gone. You probably might not even be watching this type of content. But you need to copy the black sheep that gets away. You know, they often evolve and become better. They'll live their lives. They'll have happy lives. But the golden child stays stuck, stagnant, dependent upon the narcissistic parent. Dependent, stuck there. They're the golden child. They can't do anything wrong. And a black sheep that doesn't actually evolve and allow the universe and God to work through them and actually develop and realize what's happening, they will become stuck in a state of victim mentality, and they often will take on traits of narcissistic as a narcissist themselves. Now, I have said that I don't believe that narcissists are made through their upbringing, and they're not, because both, as I brought up the both black sheep examples, one black sheep just said, yo, I am not taking this, I'm getting out of here. You have a choice to make. Everything is predestined, but you have an internal choice to make about your decisions, right? And if you know something's wrong, you know something disturbs your spirit, then you shouldn't partake in it. And that's where the free will lies, internally. But instead, oftentimes, the black sheep, the one that didn't leave flee from the nest, the black sheep just goes at war with the golden child. So you have the golden child who can't do nothing wrong, but then you have the black sheep who will be like, I'm a victim, I'm a victim, I'm a victim, this happened, that's happened. And this is how they seek their admiration and attention. All because, and this is all because of neglect of their narcissistic parent. And oftentimes these children, they look at one of their parents as poison, and they've got it misconstrued, they've got it twisted. The bad parent is actually the good parent, and the good parent is actually the bad parent. That's the way it is. That's the dynamics. And many of us wake up. So anyway, I don't know if you lot like this type of content. If you want to hear more of this type of content, I will touch on it. I've kind of made videos very early on in my journey talking about the black sheep, but I felt like I don't want to disturb your mind state. I don't want to make you have information and make you start looking at things that are not there in your family household and making you classify your parents as narcissistic, and they're not. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So that's why it's like dangerous ground I didn't want to tread on, but for some reason I had a download today from the heavens, and I felt like I wanted to express this message. So just look at your situation, reflect. Are you the black sheep growing up in a toxic family narcissistic unit? And so actually, just before I go, you got to understand what often happens also is the children of the narcissistic parent will often fall into relationships that are narcissistic. They'll often fall into narcissistic relationships. So they basically live the same abuse cycle, but just in a romantic setting. And this is often what happens. So sometimes the black sheep that escapes will escape the toxic family unit, but they'll run straight into the clutches of another narcissist in a romantic setting, and they may never wake up to that. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but they may never wake up to it. But oftentimes, the children of the narcissist will run into other narcissists. The black sheep, the scapegoat, the golden child, will often run into narcissistic relationships with their romantic partners too. So I forgot to mention that earlier on. So just look out for the signs. Anyway, signs are there for those that are wise, and I'm sure you'll be able to digest this information and use it in the right way. So anyway, thank you for watching today. Please press the like and the subscribe button. And if you'd like a one-to-one session with myself, you can find the link in the description box. And if you would like to donate to the channel as well, you can find the link in the description box. Currently I have a secondary channel. It's a more spiritual based channel, just to give us a balance of content from the narcissism and gives us a good contrast for stuff for our minds and souls and spirits to digest. So anyway, I'll be back with another video soon. Peace.